Hey there, welcome to another edition of The Night Sky This Week. I'm your host, Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, here for the week of September 13th, 2021. I hope you had a great weekend and that you've been doing some stargazing. We're getting close to changing seasons in both northern and southern hemisphere, and changes are afoot not just on the ground, but also in the skies above. So let's begin to see what we can see in the sky this week. But first off, I just want to say thank you for everyone for tuning in wherever you're watching. Welcome. It's so nice to see you. Many of you have become great stargazing friends of mine, and the chat room's open. The comments are coming in. We've got folks from Turkey, Michigan, from Mexico. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm broadcasting from Montreal, Canada, where it's partly cloudy and mild. Had a great weekend, had some sky watching that I could do, saw some really neat things, planets and deep sky objects, and maybe I'll share some of those with you so you guys can also take a look at the same things in the skies wherever you are. So why don't we dive in? So we'll open up the planetarium program, and here we are. We've got the program all set up for Monday, September 13th. This is the sunset sky looking towards the southwest western sky right after sunset on Monday night. And I want you to look at this wonderful lineup of objects right across the west, all the way to the southern skies, bookmarked by two objects, Mars and the Moon. Look at that lineup of interesting things. So if we start off to the left-hand side towards the southern sky, high up there, you'll notice there is a quarter moon. So this is the first quarter moon. We're heading to a full moon next week, and it's just gorgeously pinning down the southern skies soon after sunset. In fact, you can probably see the moon even during daytime now. If you have clear enough skies, no obstructed view, you can look for in the late afternoon. The moon will be positioned in the southern skies during the daytime, and you can see the moon during the daytime and watch it with a telescope or binoculars, and it gives you fantastic views. So you've got the moon on the southern sky tonight. Then you've got an orange star to the lower right of the moon. That is Antares, 550 light years away. It marks the eye of Scorpius, the scorpion, this giant mythical arachnoid constellation, which is really a standard in the summer skies and is still visible to us in the late summer, early fall. in the northern hemisphere. And then in the southwestern skies, we've got Venus, super bright. You can't miss it. It's the brightest star-like object in the western sky. No, hands down, the easiest one to see. And it'll be really between the moon and Venus, kind of a big rivalry between the two in terms of really catching your eye, your attention. So if we look at other fainter star-like objects, what are they that you're going to be seeing next to Venus? Will be Spica. Spica is the lead star in the constellation Virgo the Maiden, and it's about 250 light years away. And then to the lower right of Spica is little Mercury. And Mercury is, of course, the innermost planet in the solar system, meaning the closest to the sun. So it's never far away in the sun, from the sun in our skies. That's why you only see Venus and Mercury, the planets that are between us and the sun, either before sunrise or just after sunset, usually. And then very, very hidden and probably almost near impossible to see is Mars, hugging the low western horizon, heading towards conjunction with the sun in a few weeks. So wonderful lineup of objects. And then, of course, on its own, high above this grouping is another star called Arcturus, which is about 36 light years away. It's an orange giant star, and it is the lead star in the constellation Bootes, very traditional spring-summertime constellation. And if we get this a little bit later, and as darkness falls, you'll begin to see more things. If we move on to the southeastern skies, you've got two constellations, both zodiacal constellations, Capricornus and Aquarius. And inside Capricornus, you've got two bright star-like objects, the brightest in that part of the sky. You can't miss it. And those two are actually planets. You've got Jupiter, the brighter of the two, and then Saturn off here to the right of Jupiter. It's kind of very distinctive yellowish color. Super easy to see these pair of planets. And if you have binoculars and telescopes, of course, they are a wonderful target, targets to see, because you get to see the rings with a small telescope of Saturn. Of course, you can see those rings very easily. You'll be surprised. Even a small telescope can show you that. And then if you only have a pair of binoculars, while you can't see the rings of Saturn, the moons of Jupiter really come into view. And I can simulate that here through this backyard planetarium program. And you can see this is kind of what you would see, a view kind of like almost like a row of ducks beside brilliant Jupiter, a view like this through a pair of binoculars. And of course, if you have a telescope, a small telescope using high magnification, look at this. You get to see the bands, the cloud bands of Jupiter, and these little dots, well, those are the actual moons. So tonight, actually, once darkness falls on September 13th, this is the layout of those 4 Galilean moons. Why are they called Galilean moons? Because, of course, they're named after that famous astronomer Galileo, who first spotted these moons back in 1609 when he pointed the newly invented telescope for the first time towards the heavens and saw this sight. And you too can see this very easily, even if you're stuck within the city. You can see the Galilean moons. These are the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, and they are visible like little dots beside Jupiter. The one on the outer section, if you're going to be looking at this tonight, once darkness falls on Monday, you'll see Europa, then Ganymede, Io, the most volcanic body in the entire solar system with 400 active volcanoes. Io is visible right next to Jupiter. And then in the far left of Jupiter is right here, right above where you can see me, that is Callisto, right out there, these icy moon out there, which, very interesting, could be holding a liquid ocean inside it, as Ganymede and Europa might as well. So really interesting stuff just to be able to see with the naked eye. This is visible all week long too. But what's particularly interesting, and I want to bring your attention to this, I'm going to zoom out here so we can see what it looks like to the naked eye. You see our friend the moon. Now, I've got this on September 13th, but if I pop over a few days ahead, now I'm on the 14th, 15th, right? This is the 14th, 15th, right there, okay, look at that. By the 17th, the moon and Saturn will be close up. So we have a waxing gibbous moon. I'll zoom in a little bit so you see that layout. It makes kind of like an interesting triangular shape. The moon, Saturn, and Jupiter does. But look how amazing that is. The moon is a wonderful guidepost, showing you the way to many different objects in the night sky. And in this case, on Friday night, you'll be able to see the I should say Thursday night, September 16th. This is what you'll see on 16th. But then the next night on Friday, this is Friday. So you got the 16th, Thursday, and 17th, the Friday this week, that the moon is kind of posing with these two giant worlds, both Saturn and Jupiter. And if you haven't had luck in finding Jupiter, so you may not know or you're not sure which ones they are, you can let the moon guide you to them. And so Thursday night, the moon is going to be next to Saturn, like this. And then Friday night, you'll see this, where the moon is next to Jupiter. And then by Saturday night, the moon's going to hop over to the other side of Jupiter, and it will be embedded inside the constellation. Moon will be within the constellation Aquarius. All right. So this is something really neat. I recommend highly that you take a look at that. It's a lot of fun to see that. And of course, there's a lot of other things in the sky too. And one of the things that I wanted to notice, of course, if you've got dark skies, is once the moon later on in the weekend, so by Saturday and say Sunday, the moon has moved off, you can see the Milky Way stretching through our friend Scorpius, which is pinning down the southwestern skies. And you'll know it's Scorpius because you've got the orange star called Antares. Remember, we talked about Antares on Monday Night Sky. And there is Antares. Once darkness falls, you'll see that. And it's kind of in a line. If you look carefully, look, Jupiter, Saturn, and Antares form a kind of an odd line, right? A diagonal line right there in the sky. And between basically Saturn and Antares is where you'll find the Milky Way band. Now, what is particularly interesting about the Milky Way, what you're looking when you're seeing this and you've located this, is just to think about this. This is where it gets the awe factor comes in, is that you're looking towards the central hub of the Milky Way galaxy when we're looking towards this area here. A good marker as well to the hub, the central hub, the core of the Milky Way, which, by the way, is 28,000 light years away. So when you're looking at that kind of glow from the Milky Way, if you're out in the countryside, that's where you'll see this with no light pollution, this glow between Antares and Saturn. This glow here, where I'm kind of using my my cursor, is the central hub. And you'll see this dark band, this dark lane of dust and gas. It's kind of obscuring the bright central core, the hub of the Milky Way spiral galaxy that we live in. And that core is about 28,000 light years away. So you see kind of the edge of it above the dark lane here and below the dark lane. It's really impressive. If you take telescopes or binoculars and you sweep this area, it's chock full of all kinds of amazing deep sky objects to explore. And another great little pattern, one of my favorites to finding the Milky Way, is, of course, the zodiacal constellation of Sagittarius. And there is a beautiful markup, what we call an asterism, a pattern, and I've marked it here in orange, of a teapot that's tilted, a traditional teapot. There's the handle of the teapot, the lid of the teapot, and the spout here marked out here by these stars. And it looks like steam coming out of the teapot when you're out in a dark countryside. It's just beautiful. This time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, just fantastic time to look for Sagittarius's teapot configuration and seeing that steam rising out of the teapot, which of course is the Milky Way galaxy. Basically billions of stars, the combined light of which we see only because they're just so far away, these stars, and yet you still see them just beautifully laid out there as in what we call the Milky Way. And so it's just gorgeous. Highly recommend you guys watch that. This is a fantastic time of the year to do that. And also, I wanted to mention as an extra before I leave is that there are auroras, northern lights, possible throughout the month of September and October and November. We're heading into a really great, rich time for northern lights. There is solar activity on the sun. The sun is forming sunspots. And as the sun turns, and if these sunspots are facing the Earth, they can kind of explode off of these sunspots, huge solar flares that can maybe send charged particle clouds to the Earth, causing potentially auroras. So again, a great website that I like to go to is spaceweather.com. I'll give a link in the comment section below so you don't forget. And you can keep checking there to see if there's any alerts. We usually get about 2-3 day notice. There's nothing right now, but in a few days, maybe by the end of the week, we may be in store for some northern lights. Best way to see them is out in the countryside, looking towards the north. Look for faint glows of green. That's how it usually starts near the northern horizon. And the trick is, again, to be away from city lights. That's very important. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. And please show your support by sharing these videos with your friends and family in your network. Let's get more people looking up at the night sky. It's a wonderful thing. We all share this wonderful heritage we call the night sky. Well, with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, I wish all of you clear skies. Bye-bye.